Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon. Ya estamos muy contentos y emocionados de arrancar este webinar. Eh, como cada Fibree webinar, el chat es nuestro medio de comunicación. Si tienen dudas, preguntas, comentarios, por favor, en el chat. Tania, también del equipo de Fibree LATAM Series va a estar ayudándonos con algunas respuestas y obviamente al final tendremos un espacio para preguntas a nuestro invitado de hoy. Eh, entonces, bienvenidos a todos. Vamos a dar un par de minutitos en lo que se siguen conectando. Si nos pueden compartir en el chat de dónde se conectan. Hoy veo aquí gente de Perú, veo gente de México y de toda Latinoamérica, también de Brasil, me imagino, pero si nos pueden poner en el chat y vamos a dar un par de minutitos más.
Muy buen día a toda la comunidad que nos está siguiendo. Enrique, un gusto tenerte de nuevo
Andrés,
aquí. Hoy tenemos un gran especial de Sao Paulo, Rubens Neistein, que también es miembro del board de Fibree. Y creo que tenemos un muy buen webinar porque logramos hacer algo que dijimos en abril, es que Latinoamérica trabaja con Brasil de la mano y estamos haciendo el mejor esfuerzo para hacer esto en portuñol o en portugués o
o en
en
inglés.
español, en inglés, pero ahí vamos, está trabajando, está saliendo y estoy muy complacido que estemos hoy reunidos porque les vamos a comentar de un gran evento que tuvo lugar hace muy poco en Sao Paulo de blockchain y real estate, fue uno de los primeros y entonces pues creo que hoy sí nos vamos por una hora comenzando. Enrique, entonces te dejo la palabra para que sigamos la introducción y vamos muy rápido a tratar el tema que tenemos hoy con Rubens.
To- Totalmente de acuerdo, Andrés. Pues vamos como cada webinar, pues bienvenidos a todos al Fibree LATAM Series, en donde estamos buscando crear un espacio de aprendizaje donde vamos a platicar de las últimas tendencias de la aplicación de la tecnología blockchain en real estate. Normalmente hacemos este webinar una vez al mes. Como lo comenta Andrés, hemos venido trabajando toda la comunidad de Latinoamérica y ahora pues con Brasil para fortalecerlo y para traer pues todas las aplicaciones y cómo la tecnología va avanzando a nivel mundial. Nuestros webinars normalmente tenemos a un invitado internacional que nos platica de las diferentes tendencias, aplicaciones, casos de uso y teorías, ¿no? Y cómo va avanzando. Los invitamos, bueno, antes de seguir a los que son nuevos y se conectan por primera vez, Andrés Assmus de Colombia y yo, Enrique Suárez de México, somos sus anfitriones en este webinar. Seguimos trabajando para seguir invitando más gente que se conecten. Los dos, pues obviamente somos parte de la comunidad de Fibree. Yo como Regional Chair en México y Andrés como Regional Chair en Colombia y también en el board de Fibree. Eh, bueno, los invitamos también en agosto. Vamos a tener a un invitado. Vamos a estar hablando de los NFTs en real estate. Obviamente hemos escuchado muchas cosas y sigue evolucionando, pero vamos a platicar de NFTs. Y en septiembre vamos a hablar de la acción climática basada en blockchain en el sector inmobiliario y cómo también el ESG y toda esta parte sustentable también toca la tecnología y cómo blockchain nos puede ayudar.
Bueno, respecto a Fibree, pues tenemos hoy el gusto de celebrar la salida del cuarto reporte. Como lo hemos venido comentando en previos eventos, Fibree es la organización más grande del mundo que combina la temática del blockchain con el impacto que tiene esto en la industria del real estate y la construcción a nivel global. Muy particularmente en la región de América Latina, incluido la parte de Estados Unidos y de Canadá, pues hemos estado muy activos promocionando a Fibree. Lo hacemos a manera de eventos como en estos webinars. Estamos constantemente educando, publicando artículos, creando eventos de muy alto nivel y también uniéndonos con eventos que hay veces solamente son de real estate o en algunos casos son de cripto. Entonces Fibree ya recientemente acaba de publicar su reporte, los invitamos a que nos sigan por el canal de YouTube y que también nos acompañen en la plataforma digital que ahora está funcionando a través de una membresía.
Muy bien, pues queremos agradecer también a nuestros patrocinadores que nos ayudan a promover nuestro Fibree LATAM Series en Latinoamérica y los invitamos a que también si quieren patrocinar estos eventos, también nos contacten y de esta manera podamos juntos llevar más y más el conocimiento y las nuevas tendencias al mercado de Latinoamérica. Pues muy bien, creo que estamos muy emocionados hoy de tener a Rubens aquí con nosotros. Como comentaba Andrés, realmente Brasil, pues siendo una parte fundamental de América Latina, habíamos estado buscando la manera de trabajar más de la mano y unirnos en una comunidad latinoamericana, independientemente de la barrera de idiomas que la podemos obviamente sortear y pues hoy estamos y tenemos aquí a Rubens, bienvenido. Y si Rubens, bueno, Rubens tiene es además de ser Regional Chair de Fibree y de Board Member, pues tiene una amplia experiencia que ahorita nos va a contar un poquito de él. Eh, Platicando, decíamos, vamos a pasar a inglés. Eh, Todavía que creo que es el lenguaje hoy que más nos une a todos. So, welcome, Rubens.
Enrique, Andrés, todos que nos están oyendo. Yo voy a practicar un poquito de mi español porque hablo portugués, pero un poco de portuñol también. Es un grande placer estar aquí con ustedes. Nos unimos para construir este mercado que tiene una perspectiva increíble en Latinoamérica. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here and share with you all what we are doing in Brazil, joining efforts with Enrique and Andrés to build and to help any other entrepreneurs and professionals that want to help us to develop the blockchain real estate ecosystem in Latin America. So as mentioned before, I joined Fibree in January 2020, a little bit more than 2 years ago. Searching on that time I was already studying about real estate, blockchain, and explaining in Brazil and bringing to the tables and bringing to the webinars and to speeches in some Brazilian events, how the tokenization process works. And well, in the beginning, people were just looking at me like, what this guy is, talking about token and real estate. And then 1.5 years ago, I've been talking about it since 2018. And then 1.5 years ago, the things really start moving, and people that I was trying to touch with my message started to understand what I was talking about and paying attention to that. And finally, I brought more professionals and more people to the game in Brazil. So that was the beginning. And as I mentioned, in 2020, I joined Fibree, and I started my connections with all other members in Portugal, in Spain, in Colombia, in Argentina, well, wherever, in many places. And I can tell you that this period helped me to build a very, very strong and professional network with other blockchain and real estate expertises in many countries. So if you're here today and you never heard about Fibree, I incentivize you to join us at our community and being a Fibree member to help us and all other members to develop this market in the world. So that was my initial presentation. Thanks for being here with you and the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Okay. I think we are going to discuss a very hot topic around tokenization in the region. We are lucky enough that we have three amazing markets, three different markets, and three different experiences. As you were describing, Rubens, we were early days, and I remember the first time I gave you a call in 2019. You were one of the first in Latin America to join Fibree. So I would like to maybe attack this webinar in a way that maybe we approach the Brazilian market. And would you please give us the feedback about the event, amazing event that you have been leading in Sao Paulo last month, where I had a chance, and I really appreciate it. And publicly, I told you that I was the only Spanish speaker in the panel. And but I think it's something amazing is happening, and it will be nice if we can compare what's going on in Brazil. Then we go and navigate Mexico, and we browse to Colombia to explain to the audience how this technology is taken in many different ways. Is that okay for you, Enrique and Rubens?
Sure.
We can discuss in that. So
Sure.
there is a lot of topics around NFTs, DeFi, tokenization, regulation, startups. So from your perspective, I would like to hear, and I want to give you some feedback because I was there present. How do you take the pulse now about blockchain in Brazil, specifically in real estate?
Okay, let's go. So we are in the early days, and we know that the regulatory framework in probably all the countries where, you know, like tokenization, asset tokenization is being developed, it's an issue. In Brazil as well, we have our CVM here, like this Comissão de Valores Mobiliários that you probably have in Colombia and Mexico with other names, obviously. But the CVM here in Brazil, they started looking and studying the issuance of security tokens. Well, in Brazil, we are allowed, we can issue utility tokens, but as the security tokens, valores mobiliários, they are regulated, we need a kind of authorization of the CVM to sell publicly the tokens, the security tokens. So when we talk about real estate itself, it's not security, right? But when you transform the real estate in a product, in a finance product, and you promote or you give the investor any kind of interest of yield on the real estate, so it becomes a security. And well, this is a problem because to sell publicly the tokens, the security tokens, you have to have the permission from CVM, from CSC, and from the regulatory entity. Well, so as Brazilian entrepreneurs are very creative, we are finding a way not to sell. I mean, we can definitely create we have a real estate project. We can assign tokens to this project, and we can like an SPV or SPV, right? And then we can sell privately the tokens to investors or to qualified investors, and that's not a problem. So some of the Brazilian entrepreneurs are already doing that, but what we wanted, like you guys, is to democratize the investment in real estate and other assets as well. So we want to make it public and offer the tokens publicly on a website or on an exchange, and that's an issue right now. We cannot do that for security tokens. So I can see that right now we have at least 10 startups, blockchain real estate startups in Brazil. 1 year ago, I can tell you we didn't have one. We just have one, and now we have 9 or 10 that I already discovered, and they were, most of them were in the blockchain real estate summit event that we did on 30th of June. And well, each one of these startups, blockchain real estate startups, are approaching the market in a different manner, different way. This is very interesting. So like Net Spaces is one of the startups. What they are doing, they are tokenizing an SPV. I mean, the SPV owns the real estate. They are tokenizing the SPV, and they put it the tokens, the number of tokens and the hash of the smart contract in the deed. So the real estate itself is related to the smart contract, and they did it on a notary in the south of Brazil that allowed him to do that, because it's not regulated. Also, these, you know, like the real estate land registry in Brazil, each country has its own rules, and in Brazil especially, it's very difficult to talk to these guys. But the guys from NetSpaces, Andrés, that is the CEO, he did it, and he registered the smart contract into the deed, and then he's selling part. That's a business case. There's a business model. He's selling part of the real estate. Let's say that there's a tenant into the real estate, and the tenant could buy like 20% of the real estate, not all. So the tenant is now a tenant and also partially an owner, and he buys just 20%, and he pays only 80% of the fee, monthly fee, to rent the apartment. And then he has or she has like 10 years to buy the rest of the real estate. So that's what NetSpace is doing, and they have more than 30 real estate now in this situation, and that's one of the cases. We have other, yeah.
I have one question. How do you, it's we've discussed, and of course we agree that regulation and, you know, government, it's part of a fundamental part for the adoption of the technology into real estate.
Sure.
So you mentioned the commission, like the Security Commission from Brazil, and also you mentioned the land registry. That those are the two big government regulators in our space.
Exactly.
So how do you see each of them moving forward, or being open to start, you know, to start adopting what's inevitable, that it's the use of technology? And again, we've seen the SEC in the US having, you know, the exemptions, Reg A, Reg CF, Reg D, again, kind of start to playing, or to give a little more space for entrepreneurs and for startups. How do you see, you know, government moving?
Very good question. I believe that if Andrés understood some Portuguese in our event, he's going to agree with me. But what happened is that we already have, CVM opened a regulatory sandbox last year. And about 20, a little bit between 15 and 20 companies and initiatives registered to participate on the sandbox, but only 3 of them were the chosen ones. And there are 3 companies in Brazil already working with the CVM, Comissão de Valores Mobiliários, side by side with them on a regulatory environment where they are already issuing security tokens, not in the real estate area, but in the like private investments or funds, or so they are Itaú Bank. There is a bank in Brazil, the biggest private bank in Brazil, also is integrating and working with them. And there are 2 companies, QR Capital and Vortex. Vortex is the technology platform that is allowed to issue this security token. So they are working side by side, CVM and these companies, to create a standard for issuance, security tokens in the future. I believe that it's going to take maybe a year or a year and a half for us to have definitely a way where, you know, the market, you should follow these rules. That's the way you should do it. And as soon as you follow the rules, you can issue your security token. So we are on the way. I cannot tell you that it's going to take like a year and a half or 2, but and meanwhile, these startups that I just mentioned, working on the real estate, we are working on a gray area. We are doing some things that we know that it's not against the compliant and all the rules, but like I am a partner of a company, of a token platform in Brazil called Insignia, and what we did was to issue a cashback token for the real estate market. That's one of our inventions. Like someone that buys an apartment, buys a piece of real estate, they, on a regular way, a regular manner, they receive a cashback token that comes with the real estate, and these cashback tokens give the owner the right to receive part of the income that the store in the building. There's a store in the first floor of the building that is going to generate yield monthly, and this yield is going to become part of the credit that is going to be used for paying the monthly expenses of his apartment on the building. So that was an idea of us for us to introduce the token into the market, to show and to explain the buyers, the token, the real estate market, how the token can be help in different ways. That's another case that we did it. We also have a way of when a use case when we are tokenizing the contract of the private contract of buying the real estate, and the tokens of this private contract represent the ownership on a future real estate that is going to be developed, and the token holders will receive the proceeds and the income of the sale of the future real estate. So they buy the tokens at the beginning when there is no real estate, just a promise. And in the end of the development of the project, the company will sell the real estate, and they will receive the proceeds of that selling. So let's say they invested $1,000 or $10,000 in the beginning of the launch of the project, and let's say the real estate till the end of the development is now evaluated in let's say 40% more or 50% more. So they will receive these proceeds in the end. So that's some ways that we are doing without promising. We cannot say now if you buy the tokens now, I promise you that you're gonna receive 35% revenue in the end. I mean, we cannot say that, but everybody knows that, you know, from the beginning, from the development of the project in the beginning, till the delivery of that. So normally, I don't know how it works in Mexico and in Colombia, but in Brazil, usually there's a 35 to 45 to 50, even 50% profit in that development. So that's three cases that we were having and doing in Brazil, issuing tokens here.
That's a very interesting topic, Rubens. Maybe having those three scenarios, those three examples, amazing examples that are very unique. Maybe we can wrap up about comparing Mexico and Colombia. So, Enrique, have you seen those cases there? Have you seen something in that direction where a Mexican bank goes in a path for 1 or 2 years to run a pilot in a way that we explore the securities?
Unfortunately, no. I have to tell you, what we've seen is there is also the fintech law in Mexico that was launched in 2019, more into the fintechs itself, the banking industry, payments, card processing, not of course debt, you know, like. But not into the tokenization part of it. Tokenization has been taking a lot of strength into the market, especially in real estate. But unfortunately, there is no quite regulation. There's been some, you know, news about the sandbox, opening a sandbox, but we are not there. The last comment of that I have read about the Banco of Mexico was that they understand that digital assets and cryptocurrency exist, but they don't want to go, you know, into there yet. So again, it's a matter of time. I think it's everything has been evolving worldwide, you know, really fast. And eventually we're going to start seeing more applications, because the fintech law, there is the crowdfunding component on the fintech law. So they did have their sandbox. They are starting to give licenses for the crowdfunding, but it's managed like we can call it like Web 2.0, not Web 3.0 now that it's blockchain. You know, it's a crowdfunding using normally a trust, and it's the traditional way of a crowdfunding using technology, but basically just for the raise or the marketing part of the crowdfunding. Then it has to go into the same vehicles like a bank trust, without using blockchain or any technology that really can accelerate and can give more transparency to the process.
Fantastic. I will add something else, because I've been, especially this year, I was traveling to Mexico, to Panama, to Brazil, and a little bit in the region. There is something interesting on YouTube. You can find it on Ricardo Salinas, giving his perspective about the Bitcoin and things like that. It's a very interesting podcast, and it joins the comments about why Mexico should adopt this kind of new technologies. Going back to Colombia, recently I've been reading something that Colombia have a unique sandbox, and I probably have the proof here. It's working well, and there is now a first, I think they have recently had a meeting to get the first lessons. Basically, the sandbox was more oriented to banks, in a way that banks were having clients, wealth management clients, asking for crypto, even if we are crossing the crypto winter season now. And banks were working basically with exchanges, different exchanges. They come, some of them from Asia, others from the United States. That's what is happening. There is a lot of regulation in the last 2 years in Colombia in the fintech space for insurance. No yet on tokenization. There is discussions. I heard that. There is, as well as Rubens was describing, maybe in the last 2 years, there was only 1 or 2 startups. Now I see more. I cannot count, maybe around 10, maybe less, but there is new initiative on that. All facing the same problem. When you release a pilot or you have a portfolio of assets, you are going to face the public market because you are announcing some returns or some agreements, legal agreements that goes beyond 20 people. Below 20, we are on the, maybe something similar in Mexico, we are on the crowdfunding regulation. The problem becomes over 20. Or the other path that I didn't see yet, it's, I think Brazilian is leading in that, it's tokenizing SPV, sorry. That's what's going in Colombia. I do believe that in the rest of the year, we'll see pilots in a large scale. And I also, I heard recently a startup that was running a different type of services that already tokenized an apartment recently. I think it was La House offering that. But it's really, really early days. That's what's going on in Colombia. I had a lot of questions in Sao Paulo about, are we doing well? How do you see Brazil in the region? I think Brazil is doing and taking more risk. I think the position from Itaú, which I'm a client, it's taking the right decision, the right path. I also learned in Brazil, I have a couple of names here like Housing, Net Spaces, Block VR. There was a couple of good startups, even myself working with Citizen. But I had a very good discussion with you, Rubens, and Solid Block, which is in Israel. And that was, for me, a very concrete way how this is taken in a more international way. And we'll see maybe companies going to Mexico, startups from Mexico coming to Colombia, and vice versa, and going beyond, as well as Enrique and me. We spend time in Canada, we have family, and we live in Canada, so we split our time. And that's what I also believe is going to happen in the region, and I would love to hear from you. What is your perspective on that? How the market is going to take a different direction, and maybe, like you mentioned, Rubens, the cashback is something impressive. It's fairly new.
And youth here, yeah. Well, yeah. You know, Latin American entrepreneurs, I mean, I think not just Latin America, but also US, we want to go forward. We don't stop by, you know, as I say, always say, the technology and the inventions came up before the regulation. That's what happened. That's what happened everywhere. And well, I because of Fibree, my Fibree relationship with the other members, I know Yael, Tamar, and Elena, Hakim from Solid Block from a while, and we've been talking and exchanging information. And as Elena is a Brazilian, she lives in Israel, but she's Brazilian. I invited her to come. She came to Brazil to the event, but she was here before, and we were opening. I helped her to open some opportunities in Brazil for Solid Block. So for you guys that have you know, also technology and knowledge about tokenizing real estate in Mexico or other countries, we can tokenize the Brazilian asset to offer to foreign investors. I mean, we don't have to invest just Brazilian investors. We can have a Brazilian asset, a good. I mean, because, you know, for tokenizing and create good tokens, you have to have a good asset. Doesn't make sense tokenizing a bad asset. You know, it's still going to be bad tokens. So we have to have good real estate assets, and tokenizing that is going to take attention of maybe foreign investors in Europe and the United States and other countries. So if we cannot tokenize the way we want in Brazil right now because of the regulations, we can have this asset being tokenized in other jurisdictions by Mount X or by Citizen, and and we can distribute. That's another big issue, to distribute the tokens. But if we find a good way, a good partner to distribute and to make the public offer or a private offer of the tokens to foreign investors, we can just do this in other jurisdictions. Right now, I'm helping a Portuguese real estate developer to tokenize an asset in Portugal and offer that to Brazilian investors and also to European investors. So, and we are not going to tokenize in Portugal. We are going to tokenize in other country, using the regulations of Liechtenstein or even Singapore. So, this globally opportunity of tokenizing assets, it's not something local, but for each asset we can find a better way of doing the tokenization. That's my view.
Wow, that's very exciting. We have some comments on the chat, so I just update my email at Fibree. Please, Enrique and Rubens, if you can just share the emails for the audience so they can reach us.
Sure.
Very, very nice comment.
And just a quick question. I think the chat was, I don't know, blocked or something. Now you can write in the chat because, I don't know, it wasn't working.
Okay.
Awesome. So, again, amazing leadership, Rubens. That example shows how, I'm gonna say something. And this is going maybe to happen, what telco are already having. Enrique, Andrés, and Rubens, we are going to have roaming for real estate.
Yeah.
Is that way? I love to, we have a sentence here like, we like to take cafecito. Something very concrete. So that's something to happen?
Alonso, I'm seeing here in the chat that Alonso asked a very important question. He asked, ¿se puede comercializar tokens en los países que no tienen regulación con la regulación de otros países como USA? Well, you cannot. I mean,
no.
But you cannot publicly. But privately you can. Okay, so if you tokenize an asset in with the regulation of Liechtenstein or Switzerland or US, you can certainly sell the tokens on that country, on the country where they were tokenized, and you can offer the tokens privately in other countries. I don't see as an issue. Okay, so that's what we are doing right now. Yeah,
I think it's and in my experience, you can, especially utilizing the U.S. regulation, you can use Reg S, that is for international investors, and again, you need to be compliant with the regulations of the country where you are raising money.
Exactly.
And if there is no regulation, then it's kind of allowed because it's not forbidden. But again, we have seen all the different countries on the region moving forward to some kind of regulation, fintech law, not fintech law. So it can change really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, we will have like one huge regulation that will give us the roaming that Andrés was mentioning.
So what matters is where the investor is located and not the asset. Is that correct? That's where the regulation matters, right? Just
exactly.
To be clear. So as Enrique mentioned, if we have an asset in Sao Paulo and we have 100 buyers in Miami, what matters is who's going to protect those investors under the US law.
Exactly.
Perfect. Amazing.
You talked about a roaming regulation where like a global regulation for security.
Like a global regulation.
I don't think it's going to happen very soon. But I think that what's going to happen is the regulators certainly, I mean, like the Brazilian regulators are certainly looking what Switzerland is doing, what America, US is doing, like what Germany is doing, and they are going to build the regulation in Brazil based probably on these other regulations that are already approved and working well. So
I totally agree with you, Rubens. And I've been, well, of course, we are right now in the crypto winter, and reading about the SEC trying to, convert a lot of cryptos into security tokens, because one of the benefits, I think, of the security tokens is that they are digital assets. So there is a regulation. Maybe it's not 100%. It wasn't born for the tokenization itself, but it was born for the financial industry or the financial regulation itself, the market. So now we can see companies from Mexico, Brazil, Colombia that can list their stocks on international exchanges. So it's kind of like the rails are already there. At least, it's not done yet, but I think that the best approach, at least in my personal opinion, for adoption is to start using those rails that already use. So when you get a little bit away from the crypto and start working on the security tokens, then you are more regulated. And then probably in the near future, we're going to be able to see this roaming or this kind of global regulation that it's going to be the financial regulation.
Yes.
Again, with the different, it has to evolve, but at least the base is already there.
We have a question from Alexandre Freire, probably he's in Brazil. Para tokenizar empreendimento imobiliário no Brasil, pode ser oferecido via web page or redes sociais. I do believe that when you go public, it's where the regulation hits, because you become responsible for the asset class or the offer that you are promoting. We can all three to work here and say we have 3 amazing assets and we want to sell those assets across the region. That's where the regulation hits. It's how we're going to protect those investors and how we will maintain what Rubens was saying previously. In Brazil, average, we can promise 40 to 50% on the pre-construction project. And that's where the regulation will give the rails to give us some direction. For the roaming, what I believe before the roaming, there is parcerias. I do believe that we can do agreements or alliances in between, for example, Insignia, Mountain X, and Citizen. There is things that we can do in private, and I think that was my impression. I'm already working on that with Brazilian startups in that world, in a private way. But I think it's something that we can test to go further on the maybe something bigger across the region.
I agree with that. Yeah, and that's just the beginning of our talk. So I would like to ask Enrique, with all these regulations issues also in Mexico, how Mount X is now tokenizing assets, and what you guys are doing there now, what you can do there nowadays.
Yeah, we are tokenizing in the US. In the end, even though the real estate is in Mexico, we are issuing the security token as a US company and raising the money and then investing in an SPV in who owns the title of the real estate in Mexico. So that's how we are doing it. Again, because there is no regulation yet.
Yeah, I told you that the entrepreneurs are very creative, right?
Yeah. We need to find a way.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, Alexandre is also asking, how to sell these tokens in private. Well, in Brazil, the CVM, the Comissão de Valores Mobiliários, there are some rules that specify exactly how to open securities in a private way. So I cannot tell everything, all you have to do now. But if you look into, you use Google, you know Google, you probably used it before. So you just find on Google how to make a private offer in Brazil, and you're gonna reach the CVM page that is going to explain everything you need to do to know to do it. Okay, Alexandre? So Fabio Veras also is, can I read his question?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay, so hello, I'm Brazilian. My name is Fabio Veras. I am a big fan of the subject and looking forward to using it in Brazil, a real estate market. How are the regulatory work going? Is there a date? Well, Fabio, there is not a date. I was mentioning before that there's a sandbox regulatory work going on. Some companies are already issuing these tokens, some security tokens in a tokenized way. And I believe that we're gonna have, in about 1 year, maybe 1.5 years, we're gonna have a specific framework to work with, but nothing now. We're gonna have to wait a while.
Fantastic. And to add to your comments, on the report 2022, we do have an article, page 42, I wrote it as a contribution to Fibree, about how can blockchain solve the problems in Latin America. So I invite you to download the report, to become member and get a membership. This is the quality of the discussions we are having. And there is another proof. If you look at the track record, since we used to start in 2019 or something, we do have now something more concrete. And we see the incremental progress that we are having, and how Fibree, it's one of the pieces that it's contributing for this new disruption.
Great. I also incentivize the audience to download, go to fibree.org and download the paper, the report. If you want to study in deep, we are just a little bit in front, a little bit ahead of you, because we started learning and studying this subject 2 or 3 years ago. But if you really want to go deep, like Alexandre that is telling, and Fabio here and others, you need a very good content, and Fibree report is a very good way to start. And there are also many other papers on the internet that you can, and many other, I mean, like just the Fibree LATAM series and the other videos. You're gonna learn a lot, and it will be a pleasure to have you all joining efforts with us to building a strong market and seeing very good new opportunities and initiatives in the market really soon. So if we are doing all we did till now, where we are right now, probably it's going to be much better with your efforts and everyone together building this new opportunity.
And I think it's I shared my screen because there we have the QR.
Sure.
So everybody can download the report, or you can go to fibree.org and then also, you go to the section report and then you can download it. But well, we are running out of time. So like approaching the end, I would like to ask you, Rubens, in Brazil, how is the absorption? Because we've talked about the regulators, and I think it makes sense right now. One thing is the regulators and how to make it the right way, but then there is the absorption, the market wanting this kind of products. So, and let's don't lose that if there is a market, regulation will come. If there is no market, there won't be regulation.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with you.
the absorption, entrepreneurs, more startups, but in the end, people want to invest in real estate, and that's what's going to pull everything else in line.
Yeah, I'll give you some numbers in the Brazilian market. We took 50 years to have 5 million Brazilian investors in the equity investment. Like the B3. That is the capital market. Okay, so and it took just 5 years to have 5 million Brazilian with the crypto in their wallets, investing in. If you get the total Brazilian people that are already registered in the crypto exchanges in Brazil, we have 5 million people. These 5 million people, they already understand about crypto, and it's going to be easier for them to, start investing in other kind of assets because they are speculating with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But part of them, or the majority of them, probably will want also to invest in a more conservative asset. So a part of them, and other than them, we're gonna have the real estate investors. I mean, there are millions of people that would like to invest in real estate, and they cannot in Brazil, and I believe also in Mexico and Colombia and other countries, because like it's the real estate investment in Brazil start in $100,000, $150,000, and that's not very accessible to the majority of people in Brazil. And well, we have a demand. It's not going to be a huge demand right now, but we got a demand. We have 2 companies, startup companies in Brazil, like Mercado Bitcoin and Liqui. They are selling different tokens, like tokens from debt. They are selling tokens from rent, not debt. There's another finance product that can be tokenized and it's not considered a security, that are being the products are being tokenized, and they are selling them all. The investors are buying because these alternative investments are paying 15 to 18% yearly on yield. So they are good investments, and for sure the demand exists and is going to grow while we build all this market on the next years. So certainly the regulations needs to hurry up, because the investors want to invest in this kind of products, the tokenized investments.
Oh, okay. There's many other topics that we haven't time today, like NFTs, DeFi. There's many other subjects, but I think we have a good time sharing experiences here. I'm just having here something that is just outside of the topic a little bit. You need an income of over $220,000 to buy a home in Toronto, Vancouver. Recently, it was released on the Globe and Mail today, and that is just another example that's something we are going to face, because the construction costs are rising with the actual economic situation we have. There is a stress in the market. There's many other things that are happening, and as I described in Sao Paulo, we forgot that we have structural problems on housing across the region. Millions of people that have no proper housing. So most of the time the discussions goes to, this is the most sophisticated, the most technology advanced things, but the market is telling something else. And I do see a really amazing opportunity on something completely new from scratch, new solutions to attack the problem in a way that maybe people, as you described, people are adopting crypto, people are looking for new ways, and I do believe that is going to happen in the region. We will see companies, entrepreneurs, creative people offering new alternatives for communities that do not have proper access to housing, but I do see, and something we work now here in Colombia, things like no residential or commercial real estate, but something a little bit higher, energy grids, or solar panels, or things like that, or sewage. Things that are related to the community, that becomes and makes possible that real estate it's an alternative. So such amazing time to today with you. Thank you for your time. As Enrique said, we are over time. I think we have no more questions. Enrique, if you can please give me a hand on that. And
yes.
Maybe a last one.
I think we have no more questions. And let me...
Fantastic.
It was great sharing this time with you guys and the audience. Thanks for being here. I hope that what we have discussed today helped you to think about and to act further the initiative and building this market with us. And thank you very much for the invitation, Enrique and Andrés, and being partners in Latin America and being friends at Fibree. And well, let's move on.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and we'll wait everyone on the next Fibree LATAM webinar. Thank you, Rubens.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andrés.
Stay tuned. Thank you very much.